fade us to black. Actually, let's just give it a second. Give it a beat. Go back here to the chat. All right, fading to black. All right, going live in 5, 4, 3.
Yummy like a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for October 16th, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Astrobot is about to take over my life, and IO Interactive is publishing the new game from former Grand Theft Auto devs. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host, the Game Mess Mornings. It's Sean TurboShawn McDowell. Sean, how are you doing?
My life. Pretty good, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
I need to address something.
Please.
We need to. I think someone on the show needs to issue an apology to some fans of a certain game. Maybe you need to say something to the Metaphor freaks, Jeffrey.
I did start Metaphor today. And I
didn't expect this twist, actually.
Yeah. This morning. This morning I was like, I had to the Steam Deck was acting funky in the middle of Nine Souls, and I had to restart it. I did an update, and then I was like, I was meant to start Metaphor, but I did Nine Souls instead. And I started up, and I'm not really playing the game yet, but I found nothing that has pushed me away either. I mean, listen, it is it's doing the thing where it is jumping back and forth between all these different things, and that's not to be like, oh, I can't keep up with the story. I understand everything that's happening. It just feels a little not stunted. It just feels a little bit messy at first to me, but that said, it's not pushing me away yet.
Right. Especially the dialogue, right?
Especially the dialogue. In context.
If anyone missed our conversation last night at a different show, funny how Jeff changed his tune as soon as he was given context of, hey, that corny line was delivered by a cornball.
Yes.
Weird how that works, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And I did, and after the show, I remembered the thing that got me interested and made me want to start Metaphor, which was they use magic to replace a monarchy with democracy.
Jeff, yeah. This game is about rebellion from the lower class.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Overthrowing the monarchy.
I like that.
Introducing democracy to the people, and perhaps most crucially, actually, the church is bad, and we need to take those guys out too.
I like all those things.
It's the most Jeff Grubb ass setup ever.
It's yes, exactly. So all that stuff piqued my curiosity.
Lex is right, and fuck the police.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, game of the year then.
Exactly.
I'll say that the style, of course, that's working. The music, very good. No surprise. We all know who's making these games. But yeah, I'll try to stick with it. I'm very unlikely I'm going to finish this game.
That's what I've always been saying. Like I think you'll appreciate why other people like it, but it's a long game. You don't really have the time for it. It's not necessarily your style. So
I'll be happy if I get something out of it, though. If I play for 20, 25, 30 hours and I feel like okay, I get it. That's completely fine with me. I'm okay with a game doing that having that sort of relationship with the game. And I don't think that's necessarily a negative for me. I think others might, but for me, that is completely fine.
Speaking of, I just passed the 30-hour mark last night, and I saw some stuff last night.
Just about everybody says right around there, it really amps it up. So
there's a story that goes places. It is very good.
Yeah.
Also, did you get into any battles yet?
No. Of course not.
Because Cam is right in the chat. I don't know what the guy's saying in the battle theme, but he has been straight fire.
I definitely want to hear that. Yeah,
Latin bars, Jeff. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've barely started. I think I just got to the recruitment scene and got recruited in the army. So
and things really pick up after that point.
Okay, so, cool. Yeah, and again, I didn't think it was such a that was a quick intro.
For a Persona style game, it's pretty quick going in the beginning. Like, if nothing else, that the fact that they get you walking around and actually playing the game within the first 30 minutes or something, which is it's not just cutscene dumps in the beginning. That counts for something.
Better than I expected. Which again, I'm very much talking about just myself and my impatience and my kind of tendency to drift away from a game if it doesn't keep my attention fully. And it's like, no, this was not a problem. Cool. So yeah, interested. But more importantly, Sean, all those Pokemon leaks happened. And we talked about on the Bombcast yesterday a little bit, and I mostly like, that weird company is very weird, and also people's personal information that worked at Game Freak leaked, things like that is to my understanding. So, and it was a leak. It was not a leak. It was a hack. Someone was there was a phishing scam, to my understanding.
But that's what we know too, because not all this is public. It's weird how a lot of this is coming out.
Right.
It's kind of Insomniac hack adjacent.
Yeah. So I'm only kind of half paying attention because it's a lot of this stuff is going to be in the weeds. But you're my Pokemon freak. Anything like stick out to you there?
That's the thing about this is not a lot in there that I find interesting.
Yeah.
At least so far, we don't know exactly everything that's in the leak because it's being filtered out through like specific Twitter accounts who are, talking to people or like on these 4chan threads that keep getting deleted. So it's weird to me, like as a journalist, I'm not a journalist, but from a journalistic sense, like trying to figure out where is this actually all coming from, trying to find some not necessarily that I want to get like this copyright info and have Nintendo on my ass, but I want to like figure out at least where is this coming from, and no one's really saying, which obviously because it would get taken down. So the situation is very weird. So it's being all filtered through, and so there's layers upon layers. That's how we're getting stuff like random text documents that have been Google translated that we can't verify the source of. So that's how you get these like creepypasta stories. That's how you're getting like the origin of Pokemon lore that we can't actually verify any of this. And so obviously if you see something floating around like, oh, hey, here's a prototype of Pokemon X and Y, like obviously that's real. And like any of these high-res assets and everything, but a lot of it is sketchy. So I'm taking some of it with a grain of salt here.
Okay.
If nothing else, it could be poorly translated stuff.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's mostly like beta sprites that are leaking out and like concept art. And so it's like,
interesting to see. I'm always happy to see
it's interesting historically, but like it was never meant to be seen for a reason because it's bad.
Right.
Like there's a reason they never like made any of this official because they know it's bad.
Yep.
So it's a weird situation.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. If anything else gets confirmed or becomes newsworthy, we'll cover it on the show, of course.
Right.
Let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess for real with new Astrobot speedrun levels start rolling out Thursday, tomorrow. Let's do this. It's time for everybody to put the shit talking aside. We got to actually do the gaming. I'm much looking forward to
smoke you and Dan. I can't wait.
I'm looking for someone to actually give me a challenge, Sean, so I welcome it. All right? None of these other jokers can come close.
I'm actually worried about you. You gave me a run for my money neon white.
I lock in on these games. This is my stuff. So it's almost a matter of, especially the way that they're doing it. We'll talk about it. But the way they're doing it, this is going to be very good for me because one level is how I like to play these games, like one level at a time. So this is from Darren Bontheus at GameSpot. Astrobot developer Team Asobi, my love, has announced the launch dates for its new and free bundle of speedrunning levels. The first one, Building Speed, will be available starting October 17th and will see players team up with the Bulldog booster Barkster to help them weave their way through a series of obstacles like cranes, crates, and even a flying car wash. Team Asobi will release a level every week at 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern, and in total, there will be 5 of these new stages to race through. Each level will also have 2 brand new bots to rescue, inspired by characters like Eve from Stellar Blade and the Helldivers. In addition to rescuing adorable bots, each of these new levels will have an online leaderboard for the speedrunners looking to earn bragging rights. Let's go. Here's the full schedule. I mean, it's just dates and names. I'll read them. October 17th is Building Speed. October 24th, Let It Slide. October 31st, Spring Loaded Run. November 7th, Helium Heights. And November 14th, Rising Heat.
All right, so we can kind of infer what a lot of those are.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you're probably going to get
the puffer fish and
the water on the Rising Heat and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
Helium Heights. So yeah, you're right. The flying thing. Astrobot was released September 6th. Blah blah blah. Hey. Fantastic. This is a very cool way of doing things. I think one of these, fly-by-night corporations like Nintendo could learn something here. Like they should be doing similar stuff with Nintendo World Championships. I'm looking forward to it. I think they crushed it with the speedrunning levels in Astro's Playroom. Clearly something they did to just sort of beef up that game. Like they're like, let's, this is a pack-in. It's a glorified tech demo. Obviously, it's more than that. But I think when they're making it, they're like, well, what can we do with the stuff we have to sort of add more replayability so people have a reason to stay in this game when they get their PS5? And they just turned some of the levels they had into sectioned off speedrunning courses. And it was great. It was fantastic. Really good time. I am definitely looking forward to seeing what they're going to do here, where these are, to my understanding, Sean, like all new levels, right?
That's what we saw from the trailers, at least. I think they explicitly said, but also just looking at the levels, you can tell it's stuff we haven't seen in the game before. So, that's pretty sick. I think when you're making a platformer in 2024, you have to know that people are going to do this, or even 2020 for that matter. So that's why they're doing stuff like this, is because they know what people want after the game is over. They want to get more value out of it. And what's an infinite well of value from a platformer? Speedrunning. So it makes all sense in the world to support this stuff. I think it's really cool. Yeah.
For me, it's just, there's so many things that are video games. The walking simulators are video games, and RPGs with a lot of cutscenes, anime cutscenes, even video games. Yeah. I just, for me, like video games that like hit the hardest with me is I can just lose myself trying to do this one level better than I did it before. And I really appreciate it when games can include that. It means a lot to me.
You like the game more than the video, and that's totally respectable, because I'm the same way a lot of the time.
Yes, exactly. And it's I think the leaderboard is like the crack cocaine version of it, of let's just really boil it down to the chemicals that actually activate your brain, and this is exactly that. So looking forward to it. This was already, in the conversation for my personal game of the year, right there near the top. We're talking Balatro, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, a handful of others.
It's in the running on the site, definitely.
It's in the running on the site as well, I think. Yes.
Yeah. A lot of us really like this game.
Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, still up there for me. A lot of things up there, but Astrobot kind of might be a favorite. Once this happens, and on the Less Than Nintendo Dogs yesterday, I started talking about like kind of feeling off with games at the moment. A lot of stuff not hitting. Obviously, I think Nine Souls did. I'm playing Metaphor now, and that's like, I'm giving that a chance, and I feel really good about that. So it's like, okay, I might be coming out of this funk already. But throughout those like 2.5, 3 weeks where I was kind of between games and nothing was working, I was constantly thinking, am I just waiting for the Astrobot speedrun levels? Because that's kind of what it felt like. So
it sounds right to me.
Now they're here tomorrow. And so I do propose, I'm gonna throw it out there. Who knows what we're gonna do? I think on Friday maybe we should try to do one of those invitationals where we maybe
makes a lot of sense.
Take turns playing the level, or all play it together. Maybe share our gameplay to either me or Jan.
I think some chaos could be really fun. If Jan wants to produce, and like me, you, Mike, and Dan are all running.
Yeah. So
at the same time.
We'll
chaotic,
see.
But that could be fun.
Yeah, I mentioned it. We'll see like what Jan's appetite is for producing, putting that together. But I really look forward to something like that, something along those lines. At the very least, we're going to be playing this on our own time, sharing our best runs on social media, poking each other. And the other thing I like about this, PlayStation 5 will give you a notification when someone beats your time in speed runs and leaderboards. At least that's how
good use of the hardware, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you get it on the app as well. So
you're out at the grocery store, you're like, gotta get home, gotta beat Dan's ass.
There's definitely a clip of this, and if someone wants to find it, I would appreciate it, but don't feel like you have to. But when we were doing Astro's Playroom speedruns, and it was me and Dan and some other guy, Mike. I don't think Dan really knew him. And Dan was streaming, trying to beat one of my times, and he did. But while he was doing it, I was also playing that level, and I got a better time that he did not know about. So he beat my time, was so excited, went to go check the leaderboard so he can get that moment of all the endorphins like rushing in. And it was to me like, what the hell? And so sweet. So
God,
sweet.
That was so good.
So I look forward to moments like that this time around as well.
Definitely.
All right. Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack celebrates its 3rd birthday with a tiny teaser for new stuff. This is from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. Don't forget to wish the Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack service a happy birthday. The add-on turns 3 years old, known as the Triforce year, and Nintendo is teasing new stuff for members over the next year. In a Nintendo newsletter, the company asks, what excitement will the next year bring for Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack members? Stay tuned to find out. Excuse me. Now, they're always teasing stuff. They're always promising more stuff. That's one of the reasons, or one of the ways they get people to stay subscribed. But I do think it's interesting, the timing of this, saying, hey, what's the new year going to bring? While we know that online test for Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack members only, that you had to be a member of that to sign up for that online test, that mystery test that we talked about on shows last week, I think. That's happening in a couple of days, or at least we're going to get the codes in about 4 days, and then it starts on the 23rd, 24th. Yeah, seems like they're kind of starting to make a somewhat bigger promises. I don't know. For me, Sean, this gets my hopes up that this is something like maybe GameCube games.
It could be.
It could.
I mean, that's
my
the
hopes up, but
logical
that
next
doesn't mean
step.
anything. That's just, I'm just saying, I'm setting myself up for disappointment more than ever.
Right, and people were I'm trying to think of how we got this info. It was production line stuff. Leads us to think that wireless GameCube controllers for NSO are being produced.
Like Wavebird style. They look like Wavebird controllers. That's what I heard. I haven't seen them. Have we seen screenshots?
I haven't seen them myself. I've just heard other people.
I've heard this as well. Yeah. Just to clarify, there's rumors going around that, like the NES attachable controller to the Switch and the Super Nintendo one, or the Super Famicom one.
Well, more importantly, like the N64 one that's like standalone replica controller.
And then they did a standalone N64 controller, and it sounds like they might be doing the same thing with GameCube, and they haven't done these without the corresponding games on Nintendo Switch Online. Now, there's no law that says that's what they have to do. But I don't know. The evidence is building. And again, there have been rumors in the past couple of years that they were working on GameCube stuff for Nintendo Switch Online. I always was like of the opinion of, they might be looking into that, but they want to sell us those games when they remaster them. And I wonder if there's like a library of games that they're like, well, no, that just falls below the fold, and we would never remaster those, but we could still get some value out of them. And we have a GameCube emulator. Why wouldn't we do this? Do you think that's the thinking?
Well, I think first you need to put headlines up to make my
I just saw it. There we go. All right. Hey,
second of all, this whole thing with so do you think this thing that they're talking about in this newsletter or whatever is what the test is? Do you think they're one and the same?
With the admitting that I could be connecting dots where they shouldn't be connected, which is something my brain does all the time. Yes.
Okay. That's what makes the most sense to me. Yeah. The fact that these are happening at the same time. Nintendo is saying that the test is only for NSO plus expansion pack people. And they, this actually isn't public. It was like in source code of the page, are saying you should play it in TV mode with wired connection. It's just that I still don't know if that would be GameCube games specifically.
Sure.
I know people are jumping to the conclusion of, well, it could be streaming GameCube games. Keep in mind, unless I'm missing something, Nintendo themselves does not have a streaming infrastructure.
No, they've even partnered. Like, I know third parties have partnered with other companies.
That's the thing. Yeah, people always point to, well, there's these streaming games on Switch. All right, those are those companies doing their own thing.
Do you remember the name of that company?
It's executable.
I'm trying to remember. It doesn't matter, but I'm trying to remember the name of the company.
No, because I don't like their business, frankly. So I just don't worry about it. But yeah, like the Square Enix with Kingdom Hearts, and then all the other random stuff like Control. All those games, they're streaming through some other service. It feels weird to me that they would spin up a streaming service specifically for NSO plus expansion pack members to stream GameCube games.
I agree. I mean,
and it's weirder when we consider we've seen the Switch running GameCube games natively multiple times now, not just Super Mario All-Stars, but also the Shield itself over in China just plays some GameCube games.
Right, yes.
So
that's right. Yeah.
it feels like a lot of effort just for that. It could be that because, like, again, the evidence is pointing in a bunch of different directions here, and we're trying to figure it out. But I don't know.
We have our biases where it's like, well, maybe it is this thing. So the confirmation bias comes into play.
Kind of seems odd to me.
Yeah. So, the download file is multiple gigabytes, right?
2 gigs, something. You were asking about this, a GameCube game. An untrimmed ISO of, why would I know that? I can't imagine. Is 1.4 gigabytes.
Right. Okay. So, and then a client on top of that could be in several hundred megabytes after that.
An emulator of some kind.
Maybe some protocols for additional cloud streaming. So, my ideal here and my hope is, and I think it's possible, is that this is GameCube games natively running on the Switch. And then the reason that we're having a test is that it also includes as an option cloud streaming if you don't want to download the games, or it
could also just be online play, because the current method of doing it through NSO is a little simpler.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a little simpler because of the way it works with these older games. But if they want to implement maybe even, God forbid, rollback or something, or even like server-based netcode, that's something we've seen Sega do.
Rule rollback netcode was exclusive to expansion pack members. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make sense, but that would rule.
Yeah, we've also seen Sega has done server-based netcode before as well. They did that with Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, so it could be something like that. I don't know. There's a million different things it could be, and we're kind of just grasping at straws trying to figure out what it all is, when really we'll find out pretty soon here.
Yeah,
it's just fun speculation.
Yeah, I'm kind of might be with you on, like, maybe it's just the multiplayer aspect that they're trying to test here, because it's GameCube games, and maybe, I mean, it's not like the packets that they're sending would be that much bigger, but maybe they're like,
just the complexity of like 4 players and trying to keep that all in sync with an emulator running. So like maybe they offload one or the other. The thing that has always deterred me from GameCube is, like you said, they like to remaster this stuff. What would they put in NSO GameCube?
What are those games below the fold? Right? Yeah. And just real quick before we move on, like, remember we used Dolphin to do Four Swords, whatever it was, the Zelda game, and
I thought it was Long Link Cables.
It was Long Link Cables, is what I meant to say. And there was always these warnings online, like you and I talked about, like, should we be doing this over Parsec? How should we handle this? And we ended up just using Dolphin's NetPlay, and there was, desync issues. And it's like, this stuff is kind of mostly baked, but it's not 100%. So maybe Nintendo is like, we're doing something similar here, and we've encountered similar issues, and we think we've overcome them, but we want to run a test to see what it's like in the real world. So again, confirmation bias. Like, that is almost certainly my brain making connections because I want this to be true, but we'll see. I don't know what those below the fold games would be. I mean, like, is there a chance
Sunshine? I guess because Sunshine's not available right now.
Because Mario Sunshine's in the. Oh, you're right. It was not available right now because it's just in the Mario 3D.
Yeah, and they've
done
that before. Yeah, because like Mario 64 is on the 64 NSO. What else do they put Melee in there? Do they put like Luigi's Mansion 1 in there? That is where you're encroaching on. We have newer versions of these games. Like, we get that you like the old ones, but we have newer, arguably better versions of these games. Paper Mario, 1,000 Year Door. They just remade that.
Yeah.
So, Wind Waker?
Yeah, I mean,
is that how we get Wind Waker?
Man, that would be very frustrating because Wind Waker HD is just better. It is just a more edited game. I think that continues to be the biggest hurdle in my mind, where I'm like, I don't understand how they position this as a product compared to their on the shelf in the eShop products. And it's you said Sunshine and was like, well, right, that's not available anymore. And maybe one of the reasons they did that is they knew they were going to be in this situation eventually. But then you listed all those other ones, and it's like, those are games that you could sell a service on, and you include them, and then kind of devalue the new ones. But maybe they don't view it that way because they're they have other ways to play some N64 games, but they still have the N64 thing with most of those marquee games in there. Just GameCube is so different. It's to them, it's still like very modern and something that they can trade on.
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, who the hell knows? It's Nintendo. Nobody does except Nintendo, and we'll find out soon.
We will probably find out in the coming days, and I bet Nintendo announces what this thing is once the codes go out, because yeah, it'll just get out there otherwise.
Right.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Hitman maker IO Interactive has a new partnership, and they're going to be publishing a game from the people that used to make Grand Theft Auto. We'll talk about that and more right after this. All right, we're back. Sean, I listen to talk radio sometimes when I'm dropping the kids off in the morning, and they
because your dad, yeah,
because I'm a dad, and they always like all the hosts have this thing where when they go into the commercial break, they don't say it. They don't like they just kind of continue talking, and then sometimes the commercials will start, and sometimes there'll be commercials that they're reading, and it's like I didn't even realize we're in an ad break all of a sudden, and I'm like, I don't have. It's such a smooth transition. I can never do that. I'm always like, people are going to skip this part. Not that I care. Skip the ads. I don't. But I don't think I could ever be as smooth enough to be like, just kind of talk you into the ad, and suddenly you're there, and surprise.
Oh, this is how I can tell you're not in the FGC, because everyone wants to copy Sajam and have the smoothest, absolute, incredible segues in the world.
Which
is ironic because Sajam dropped that a long time ago because he realized it was kind of corny.
Jan says, "Don't skip the ads." Okay, don't skip the ads, everybody. Hitman maker IO Interactive teams with Build a Rocket Boy to publish Mind's Eye. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Hitman creator IO Interactive will publish Mind's Eye, the upcoming game from Build a Rocket Boy. The company announced on Wednesday that it has created a third-party publishing division, IOI Partners. I was going to say, have they published anyone else's game before? I don't remember them doing that, and apparently they haven't, which has signed the new game from the Edinburgh-based studio, which is helmed by former Grand Theft Auto producer Leslie Benzies. I need the Benz. From day one, Build a Rocket Boy Studios has been focused on creating the next generation of, this is a quote, of compelling gaming and quality entertainment experiences. We can't wait to share our first AAA premium game and ever-evolving universe, Mind's Eye, with the world, said studio director Benzies. There is no finer partner than IO Interactive to publish our first title. With their strong understanding of community culture, premium action adventure games, and a best-in-class publishing team, we really look forward to partnering with them on our new blockbuster journey. Mind's Eye is billed as a, quote, story-driven action-adventure thriller set in a fictional near-future Americana and featuring best-in-class cinematics, high-octane driving, and explosive combat.
Okay, you know what? I was gonna be a little nicer about, but that last line there is what makes me say, those are just words, Jeff.
Yeah, it's just
what does any of this mean?
I mean, I think they're trying to say fans of the genre rejoice, or whatever the cliche is. Hey, this is going to be kind of Grand Theft Auto online-y. I think is what they're trying to get across. That's, it's easy to say that. Apparently it's not easy to say that based on this sentence. But it's easy to try to imply that that's what you're going for. Accomplishing that, convincing people that's the equivalent experience they're getting, going to be very hard. Whatever. Partnering with IO Interactive. Hey, that's cool. Yeah. IO Interactive did
call.
Right. And you got to imagine there was a lot of competition to get the new game from Leslie Benzies in terms of being a publishing partner. So I wonder how it came to be IO Interactive. Not that I doubt IO. They did publish Hitman 3 themselves, I think.
Right. That's what made me turn my head a little bit at this headline, is I didn't realize IO was big enough to start publishing other people's games.
Yeah, I mean, so they just started IOI publishing. That's happening now. I think they are trying to grow to be that big. Now, they have multiple studios across Europe, I believe. At least 2. But I want to say in my mind that they've grown up to like 3 or 4, and they opened one up in the last few years. So, and they have multiple projects. They have, they were updating Hitman Beyond when they said they would stop updating the Hitman because it did so well, the third one. And when it turned into Hitman, World of Assassination, like they're kind of setting that up for the future to be this perennial title, perennial seller, not necessarily perennially updated, but still something that's always going to be there in the top 100 on Steam for the most part. And then they are making the James Bond game. They're making that 007 game, which is their next big game. But in the meantime, for years they've been making that. They're the ones that were doing that Project Dragon. That was going to be that fantasy game that's kind of an action RPG, I think. And they were working with Microsoft a little bit. I don't know if they're still working with Microsoft, but that's something they're making as well. So they got several big projects that they're working on. And then in the meantime, they did build a publishing team internally to help them publish Hitman 3. And now they have all those skills. You're going to be like,
skills are transferable. Like they're thinking, well, we put all this effort in, we might as well, put to good use. Kind of like with Capcom thinking, hey, we made RE Engine and people really like it. Maybe let's look into licensing that out, that kind of situation.
Yep. As for the game itself, it's like, God, such a risk, right? It's like so hard to like build a game and just it's like declare it's going to be something like Grand Theft Auto Online and to pull that off.
Nothing is.
Right, nothing is, and not even Red Dead Redemption Online was. And it's the kind of thing where it's going to take longer than they ever thought it was going to take. It's going to be more complicated than they ever thought it would be. I'm trying to find here in January, Builder Rocket Boy said it had secured a $110 million round of funding, which would enable it to launch its 3 flagship products: immersive gaming and entertainment open world platform everywhere, AAA game series Mind's Eye, and a suite of easy to use UGC, user generated content design tools called Arcadia. So
AAA game series, Mind's Eye, huh?
Mind's Eye, right. And then in addition to
AAA game series.
Yes, series. So they're already right. Exactly.
Ambitious.
This is going to be a trilogy, which remember that time when like every game announced was going to be a trilogy? And then, but that's there's still the immersive, what do they call it? Immersive gaming and entertainment open world platform everywhere. They still have everywhere, which I kind of want to see if I can find that. Wasn't there a trailer for Everywhere? I'm not going to find it right now, but because I don't think it really showed all that much or illustrated a lot of what that was going to be. But they have several things happening as well. And immersive gaming platform everywhere versus the online explosive action open world game of Mind's Eye. What's the difference there? Like, what do you expect? Like, which kind of player is one game supposed to attract versus the other? I don't know. Seems like a lot, but this is a company, and Leslie Benzie specifically, that definitely could go out there and get $110 million in funding in one round, and that's just one round. They'll probably have another funding round eventually where they get even more money. So they're going to have at a point where they've spent $500 million on these projects or something like that. Mm-hmm. Multiple projects and other future things. This user-generated content platform. It's a lot. It doesn't necessarily feel like. Well, that's the future of gaming to me. What do you think?
No.
Yeah.
Nikki and Lexi both shared reveal trailers for Everywhere in the chat, and Nikki's right. Boy, that sure do look like they're trying to do the Roblox, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think everyone was trying to do Roblox at the time that this was getting off the ground. It was like everyone was like, we need to have our Roblox because the future is you don't make the game. The children do.
Right. Concord is that the most recent example we were thinking of people had this idea many years ago. It takes many years to build something. That's why the idea is out of date.
Yes.
We had another one of those recently too, but it's the most recent one.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot that I was searching for Nintendo on Twitter earlier to find some of this stuff, and Nintendo of America put out a tweet yesterday of a GIF of Waluigi, and the text is absolutely serving.
Well, he got to start in tennis, so serving the ball.
Yeah, I checked for a second. I was like, "Is this Nintendo UK?" Because then,
then they can get away with saying it. Yeah,
exactly.
I think that every person making games right now, especially the ones that can command a lot of money, are going to be in this weird position of how do we spend all this money and make something that makes sense? Yeah. And I look at stuff like this. What does
the future game development look like? And everyone's trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I look at this stuff and I'm like, ooh, I'm glad I'm not in her position. I'm glad I don't have to figure this out. This sucks.
No,
yeah, I don't know if the game's going to suck, but having to try to proclaim to gamers that you're gonna care about this to the tune of several $100 million that we're gonna spend on it, that's a rough position to be in, and I do not envy them. But I don't know. It feels like rubber meeting road. Feels like reality coming to fruition, but by saying we're partnering with a real company, a real team that has published games, a technically independent publisher studio that has taken the reins of their own game and sort of found a way to make it make sense. And they even have a history of treating their single player game as a live service game with Hitman 2016 and on.
Yeah.
And it's like, so they just have a lot of knowledge over there. Maybe they can take all of what we're working with, give us some feedback, help us get these games into stores, retailers, into retail stores, things like that. And then at that point, we will do our best to make this game make sense for people who actually are going to show up to play it. But the more I look at this everywhere game, there's skee ball. Yeah, it looks like Fortnite,
the asset
Roblox.
soup kind of matches the word soup we heard a little bit ago is kind of how I'm feeling. But
right.
Hey, best of luck to you.
And you're doing this in a world where, like, Unreal Engine in Fortnite or whatever it's called, UFA.
Yeah, just Fortnite Builder or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of community created stuff in there, and none of that has like, as far as I could tell, taken over the world the way like some of those egg raising games in Roblox has, where like they have their own toy line at Walmart. I see every once in a while.
That's what everyone's going after is Roblox, because someone makes a game in Roblox and like all the kids like share it with their friends, and it becomes viral with that market. And I think we talked not too long ago about how do you get the younger generation playing new games when they have evergreen games in Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox. Well, you figure out ways to get your product out there in those games or through methods like those games. And I think that's what we're seeing here with this.
Yep, I think so. All right, let's keep moving. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero sells 3 million units in its first 24 hours from Alex Coe at DualShockers. That's pretty much the headline's pretty much the story. But boy, that's a smash hit. That is incredible numbers in 24 hours. Now, we knew it was going to do this because we saw the like 100,000 concurrent players when it was $100 for early access on Steam. That's bananas. There was a, last game I kind of remember doing that was like Forza Motorsport 5. Like, surprised. It's like, is there already 1 million people playing this game? And it's like not even fully out yet. And it's like, it's same thing.
Bought the early access version,
Yep, and it's that game went on to sell like 5 million units very fast. And it's like, this is going to do better than that. It seems like it is racing to 10 million. It's gigantic.
Yeah, I told y'all the fans wanted this one, and you give the fans what they want, they show up. Simple as that.
And the game is very much, we talked about this a bunch, the game is very much what those people want. And it turns out there are a lot of those people. Yes.
All those Gokus out there.
Jan says, I think people are ready for Dragon Ball Fever to come back again. And I feel that. I'm like, I was watching that kind of when I was in high school when Toonami hit. I kind of like missed a little bit of Raditz.
Damn, you were in high school when Toonami hit.
Wow, man,
you're old.
Man, you really hit the D there on the damn. I'm old. Yep. Yeah. It is. I'm nostalgic for it in a way where it's like, I want to watch more drama. I watched a little bit of Kai a few weeks back. I'm gonna keep watching Kai, and it's like if I'm in the mood for it, people who are younger than me must really be just fiending for it, and the evidence is right before our eyes now. So not too surprising, I guess, when we really think about
our generation. We're at like two different ends of like the millennial generation, obviously, but people who either grew up as kids or were teenagers when Dragon Ball Z specifically came out. Both audiences could love that stuff. And so that's why we're all nostalgic for it, 20 years on now, 20 plus years on now, like 25. And so that's a pretty big audience who is nostalgic for this thing. And when they see it like they remember as kids, they want to just fork out the cash to play the game like they did when they were kids with their friends. And like we said when we did that stream, I know a lot of people aren't going to like it. They're going to look at it and they say, another arena fighter slop. Don't want this. Don't want anything to do with it. But I think there's going to be a lot of people, and the numbers are showing here, that just want to crack some beers with their buddies, get everyone together on a Saturday.
Play it as a party game.
play as a party game, play some Dragon Ball, maybe go out after that, or even just spend the night in and then like toss on Smash or something afterwards, and have a fun night. And I think that's what this game's gonna be really good at.
Yep.
Jeff, the content in this game, I don't know if you saw, Max did a Rate the Super that was an hour and 10 minutes long, because that's how many supers are in this game.
Yeah. And I saw some people doing random character select matches, and that's a fun idea, because you can get some wild teams when you're doing that.
Yeah, because we're not super familiar with these games, so when you found out, it's a ratio system, that leads to some wild stuff. Okay, that's really interesting. I think that's cool.
A recommendation for people who are Dragon Ball fans, that you can go back, reread Dragon Ball manga, watch the shows again. But if you want like something that definitely touches on a lot of the same themes and has basically Super Saiyans but with mustaches instead of spiky hair, read Invincible and watch the show too. But read Invincible. I was reading that, I'm like, this is just Dragon Ball with a bit more blood, and quite a bit more. But like, I don't want to like oversell the goriness, because you get used to it very fast when you're reading it. It's that first impression where like, oh my god, they're just going over the top. But when you're in the context again, that stuff all works and makes sense. It's Dragon Ball Misery Porn. Yeah, sure. All right. Resident Evil 4 remake sales top 8 million. Very good. Yeah. Capcom's just going to keep doing this, right?
Yeah. Game Mess's Game of the Year last year.
That's right. Game Mess's Game of the Year. I
can't believe you let Mike get away with that.
I'm like, I played that thing almost entirely on a Steam Deck on a plane, and enjoyed the hell out of it.
It's a fantastic game.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm in the mood to play it
makes all the sense in the world. I like that they list all the platforms here, followed by Mac, iPhone 15 Pro, and iPad. Which, sure did, didn't it?
Yep. There is, I'm sure, more Resident Evil news coming soon.
It's about that time, right?
Yep. Rumors that Resident Evil 9 was going to get some sort of teaser over the summer, and they pushed it back for whatever reason. I bet we get to the Game Awards, and maybe it happens there. If not there, quickly after at one of these events from one of these companies in January or February.
Yeah, and in hindsight, it makes a little more sense to do it at a Western event rather than something like TGS, because horror is more of a thing over here.
Right.
They still have
globally
like
popular
versions
series
of some RE games and everything. So maybe it makes a little more sense to not at the state of play like I was thinking either. So maybe it is just the Game Awards, because it's certainly big enough to be there. So why not?
All right, let's hit a few more stories here. Electronic Gaming Monthly Compendium smashes Kickstarter goal on day one. This is from Rachel Kaiser at GamesBeat, the Kaiser Laser.
Rachel.
EGM Media announced today that it is launching a new Kickstarter for a product called the Electronic Gaming Monthly Compendium. As the name implies, it's a compilation of stories from the magazine Electronic Gaming Monthly, EGM, gathered into a book that spans the publication's 25-year history. The Kickstarter launched today, and within a few hours surpassed its primary goal of $60,000 with over 800 backers at the time of this writing. I think it's over 100,000 now, I believe, at this point. The compendium is a physical book that contains interviews, historical background, and features from EGM's many, many years in print. It also features stories about the magazine itself. In addition to the book, the Kickstarter also funds the EGM Digital Archive, which will, according to its creator, ideally contain fully readable versions of every EGM ever printed. It'll be simpatico with the compendium, with the latter containing codes that link to article topics within the archives. That's great.
Oh, that's a big promise.
Yeah, that's really cool.
If they could do that, that'd be sick. By the way, 139,000 right now.
Fantastic. I backed it immediately. This is one of the it's probably the magazine for me, the reason I'm here, all that stuff. I mean, really, when you link back to me working with Shu and that being my way into the industry, EGM is the reason that I have a job at all in this industry.
Of all the platform agnostic magazines that I read, because Nintendo Power was my big one, EGM was the big one that I read. I still have one of the things that got me into fighting games was, I think it was the EGM, I'd have to dig out, but I remember the cover at least of Street Fighter 4, and they had that big preview of Street Fighter 4 in that magazine, and
Street Fighter
Wait,
4
wait.
got you into fighting games. It's just like it's.
Like competitively, I mean, like I've been playing since I played a Super Turbo Cab in the laundromat.
It was like, because I thought that's where we're headed. It's like, every month they would have Street Fighter 2 on the cover, and I thought you were going to say that, so it just threw me for a loop for a second when you said Street Fighter 4.
No, yeah, when I was in like middle school and like Street Fighter 4 was starting to get previewed, I was like, oh, I should like really get into this. I play like Smash with my friends. I'm still playing, like Pizza Hut still had the MVC2 machine I had played all throughout my childhood. And I'm like, this game looks incredible. And so I'll never forget that cover. Yeah.
I am hopeful that this will be like, it will capture the feeling of EGM, which was very much I'll say it was like kind of a frat house of a bunch of more intellectual dudes, not as intellectual as like Next Gen magazine or anything like that. But that was a good thing because they all had really good senses of humor, and that really permeated everything in the magazine. It was just, you could feel that there was a camaraderie and people who enjoyed talking about video games with one another and having competitions. I always loved reading about them, like gambling on a triple flip or whatever it was in Flipnik, the Pong game, where they're like, we played double or nothing for so long, and I think Shu kept winning, and Shane ended up owing him like several $1,000s or something like that, like tens of thousands of dollars, because they kept doing double or nothing. And I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. And then I want them to capture all of that, and it sounds like they're working with a list of people who are alumni of the magazine, and they are going to have interviews with them and stories. So I hope we get all of that stuff, and we hear about things like Decapitato, which is the game they played with like a frisbee and you try to knock the person's head off. Cool. I really am hopeful for this, and it looks cool. And very neat that it already got backed. Not surprising. Yeah. Again, there's a lot of love for EGM out there.
Yeah, I'll probably pick this up right after the show, actually.
Side note, I bought this tablet right here a few weeks, like 2 weeks ago, specifically so I could go to Internet Archive and read old video game magazines, and I was enjoying it. And like literally 2 days later, some idiots who I think are just trying to, or who are lying about their motivations, hacked the website, and it's been down ever since. The Internet Archive, maybe it's back up today. I haven't checked.
Pieces of.
It's so frustrating. They just don't want me reading my Ultra Game Player magazines, those dicks.
He's got a good question. What tablet?
It's the Pixel tablet, because
Pixel tablet. Okay.
Yeah, I was close to maybe doing an iPad. I considered the OLED Samsung too expensive.
Oh, dude, I went out of my way to get a new in-box Samsung Galaxy Tab S2 from like 2018 or something like that, because it's just an iPad mini that runs Android and has an OLED screen. It's great for reading. Right.
That's definitely something I looked at. I previously had a Tab A6 or something like that. Like,
one of the A ones. Yeah,
one of the like the tier down. But it was like highly recommended.
Those are like Fire tablet shaped, but like beefier. Like
this one was really sleekly. Here, I got it.
Oh yeah. They're like you got one of the bigger ones?
Yeah, one of the bigger ones, and it came with the pen and everything. My kids dropped it, so the screen cracked, which is why I got a new tablet. And it was but I liked it. It ran really well. And so I was like, maybe I'll do another Samsung, do that OLED screen, but yeah, too expensive. I did get the base for the Pixel tablet, and so that's actually the reason I got it, because it's like that can still work as a Google Home device. I can do my reminders on there,
which is cool.
And then and that has a base stand, so I'll keep it charged all the time. I love that. And then I'll just pick it up and use it to read some stuff here or there, maybe watch a show, maybe watch a game on there on YouTube TV. So yeah, it's been nice.
Cool.
All right. Circana report says 71% of U.S. I'm going to assume this means the people in the U.S. engage with video games, not the landmass. From Sophie McAvoy at GamesIndustry.biz. 71% of U.S. consumers play video games, according to Circana's 2024 Gamer Segmentation Report. As online survey of 5,100 respondents was conducted between May and June 2024, which found there are currently 236.4 million gamers in the United States. The largest share of gamers was adults aged 45 and older at 37%. That's wild. Which Circana said was driven by women gamers and a growing interest in consoles. The report found engagement among children under 12 had declined by 6% since 2022, but remained the most important demographic. In terms of consumer spending, players spend an average of $56.20 on video game purchases in the past 6 months, while 46% of those surveyed said they spent nothing on products. Right, we've got to keep in mind massive free-to-play audience on, especially mobile, but even consoles, even PC. So, we can only parse so much of this data, right? Like, we can only find so much meaning without like being able to like really get in the numbers and look at it ourselves. But my first impression here, Sean, is growing interest of consoles among people older than 45, specifically women. I'm not too surprised by that. I think that there a lot of women are like, going out is a pain in the ass, and there's a lot of cool stuff that I ignored. These RPGs are incredible stories. I think games like Persona feel like they are capturing huge audiences of women that previously were not caring about video games too much. I'm generalizing, but I think that's true. And then meanwhile, there is this younger audience. What was it? Kids younger than 12, they said. No mention of consoles growing in popularity with that audience, which kind of, why would it?
Exactly. Yeah. Someone in the chat instantly jokes around like, well, how much of that is mobile? Doesn't matter. Frankly, games are games nowadays. Like, you see Fortnite on every platform, Minecraft on every platform. They all play together.
Yep.
Warzone is on mobile now. Like,
and it matters. Games. It matters to the people selling hardware, but it doesn't to the kids. They are not seeing those differences. To them, it's like, no, the game is Minecraft, and Minecraft is wherever I'm at because it's on everything.
Yeah. And is it Phil Spencer who pointed out that kids, the reason that things going multi-platform and everything on both Xbox and PlayStation side is because the younger generation don't see these barriers, because they're like, well, I watch Netflix on everything, I watch YouTube on everything, Twitch is everywhere,
and Minecraft is everywhere.
Messaging apps,
these
games,
the biggest games
everywhere.
they play are everywhere. So
why would you lock yourselves down? And that's what we're seeing with the most successful games. They are the ones that are everywhere, and that's why mobile is big with the younger audience,
right? And
consoles not as much.
When we were younger, it's like we were trained the exact opposite, where it's like, if you want a certain if you want a certain game, you got to go to a certain platform. That's just the way it is. And those were the biggest games were especially like that. Now the biggest games are Call of Duty. You can get that everywhere. Minecraft, you can get it everywhere. Roblox, you can get it everywhere now. Wasn't necessarily on PlayStation, but kind of not being on console wasn't that big of a hang up for Roblox. It was on PC, it was on mobile, and that was everywhere for most young kids because they were going to have one of those in front of them. But now it is on every console as well. Maybe it's not on Switch, but whatever. So they've been trained the exact opposite. So undoing that, I think Phil Spencer's already accepted that's not an option, and Nintendo's like, well, it is an option for us because we're special. And it's like, okay, but the exception that maybe proves the rule, I think.
I think so at this point, and that's why both pieces of hardware are important still. Like you said, an older generation who is more familiar with consoles prefers that input method and everything. Hell, both of us certainly do. Those pieces of hardware are still going to sell, and that's cool. And then, the kids can have their mobile devices that they've grown up with. They like just, touch interfaces. Maybe they slap like a backbone on a phone or something like that. That's how they like to interact with the games. Like, kind of works for everyone. So as long as the software is still being made and is good, which is kind of the problem with the game industry right now, is that production. But as long as that can happen and the games are available to people who want them, well, that's always good. And I think that's why we're seeing a increase in percentage of just human beings who are interacting with games, is they're becoming more accessible. And it's a good time to be a video game player. The industry has been extremely shaky, but there's so many options and so many places to play games that it's good to get into them right now if you aren't already.
Yep. Yeah. And just a final point here. It's like, nothing's going to go away. The only issue, and we've seen this issue, we've talked about it because it kind of is affecting every news story pretty much that we bring up, is the growth that they've used to justify investing a lot of money in every video game for the last several years. That's come under question. Like, is the growth for the games that we make for consoles going to be there in the future to help justify spending these hundreds of millions of dollars? And I think they're starting to be like, Maybe not. So we got to think a little bit differently. So the games we got used to being on the, the most expensive side of the spectrum, those might be changing and shifting in some ways, in ways that we can't fully grasp yet because they don't have the answer. We talk about that all the time. But overall, like gaming's, console gaming's not going to go away. PC gaming's not going to go away. Mobile gaming's not going to go away. It's all just going to have to like shift slightly to capture this money that we all want to spend on games, and they just haven't really been able to figure out how they're going to do that while also getting the growth that they so desperately need to keep their shareholders happy.
Right.
Last couple stories real quick. Claire Obscure Expedition 33. That you know what? I got the video right here. That kind of JRPG looking game, but I think it's from a studio in Europe.
Oh, the WRPG.
Yes, the WRPG with Ben Starr doing one of the actors, doing one of the voices. That's coming out in 2025. It's in spring 2025. It'll be on Steam in the Epic Game Store, as well as Xbox and PlayStation 5. They also announced the rest of the cast. Charlie Cox, the Daredevil from Netflix's Daredevil, is going to be playing Gustav. He's listed here first. I don't know if that, it doesn't look like that's alphabetical. It's not he's not even the biggest star, because there's also Andy Serkis. So maybe Charlie Cox is the lead character, but Ben Starr's like kind of listed last here, which implies maybe he's also the most important, depending on how they want to do these things. But yeah, Ben Starr, Andy Serkis, Charlie Cox. I don't know these other names. Jennifer English from Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring, Kirsty Ryder from The Sandman and Sifu, and Shayla Nix from The Old Guard, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty.
Good lineup of talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got some supporting cast here as well from shows like Good Omens, more Baldur's Gate 3 actors, Ineffable. I'm not sure what that is. But yeah, I think this looks awesome. I think it looks awesome. So I'm excited to see what fans of the genre and whether they rejoice or not. But yeah, it
looks really good.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think this looks promising?
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that it is, more photorealistic graphics is always a bit of a turnoff for me. I just do prefer things that are more cel shaded and anime looking, or more cartoony, something just a little more vibrant. But that being said, for being a realistic looking game, it's looking real good, because they're going like really high concept with some of these fantastical elements. I'm trying to think of something more creative to compare to, but sort of like how Elden Ring has those moments where you just like walk out, see a vista, and like, damn, that looks crazy. I'm looking at the Steam page right now, and yeah, some of these backgrounds that they have in these shots look fantastic.
Yep.
So yeah,
and
that trailer that we saw in whatever Xbox event,
yes,
looked pretty solid.
Yeah, and I think the combat, they're standing there and they're doing their stuff, but it also looks very action packed in terms of the animations, and I don't know, it just looks very promising. Then finally, Black Ops 6 had a PC trailer, specs and stuff like that. I got the specs right here as well. Let me see if I can get that.
The specs are, hey, this will run on literally anything, because it needs to run on PS4.
Exactly, yes. And that's, it's good news. The minimum specs, an AMD Ryzen 5 1400, and then for the video card, an AMD Radeon RX 470. Let's go. That's like
to give people context, the NVIDIA card is a GTX 960.
Yes, we're talking like 2014, 2015. Yeah. That's buck wild.
My friend built his last computer, his college computer, with a 960. That's how old of hardware this thing can run on. And
I'll always goes back to a point of really that 470, 480. They did a 490, and then they did the 570 and the 580. All of those cards still pretty good for 1080 60 gaming. Like still pretty good for that. And Call of Duty being one that would definitely want to run on everything.
Still the same engine and everything. I believe now they are on the Modern Warfare reboot engine across the board over there, I want to say. And so, that scales really well. So, makes sense.
Excellent.
Jeff, last thing here that I want to add.
Please.
Have you seen the Analogue 3D?
No. Did they have
go to analog.co/3D.
All right. Analog.co.
Remember, there's an E in analog.
Analog with an E. .co/3D. Where's the E go?
Yeah, I'll put the link in chat.
Thank you.
Oh,
You mean, okay, the British spelling of analog. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, let's take a look. Is this the, I knew they were making
Now
the N64,
scroll down.
right?
Now scroll down.
The future is here in a reimagining of the N64 in 4K resolution, 10x the resolution of the original N64, the first and perhaps greatest multiplayer system of all time. Analog 3D is 100% compatible with every original N64 game ever made. Region-free Bluetooth LE, that's pretty good. Dual-band Wi-Fi, 4 original style controller ports, entirely new next-generation analog hardware featuring 3D OS, engineered entirely in FPGA, no emulation.
Which is always a misnomer.
Yeah, because it's hardware. It's hardware
now scroll
emulation.
down.
Man, look at that.
There it is. That's just an N64, baby.
Yes. That rules. Can I put a 64DD on the bottom? That would really rule. Oh, look at the white one. That's crazy. You know, this reminds me of like Mitsushida's M2. Like this is what the M2 was going to look like. Man, that is very cool. I'm going to have to get one of these.
Yeah, they got an Xbox shaped N64 controller that goes with it.
Yep, that is. Yep, okay. Oh, yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah, the controller. Yeah, the A, B, and the C buttons. Whoa.
Yep.
I want that for just having 6 face buttons.
Yeah, this looks hot.
That rules. Okay. So very cool. This was this just like confirmed today?
Yeah, it was during the show. They like put out the tweet and then I presume put
it's only $250?
Yeah. Well, because it's not really any different internally than their other stuff.
So it is running on the same hardware. They just got the core running.
As far as we know. Yeah, I don't think we know. Oh, they say it's the entirely new next generation analog hardware featuring 3D OS, but we don't know what that means because they could just be saying this is the new hardware. I don't think they explicitly said new FPGA because why would they at this point? You know.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just gonna email them real quick and ask for one. 3D. Hello. I would like this. Thank you. All right. Well, that's business taken care of.
Chaz saying that they said a chip. I don't see confirmation that is, again, a new chip than is what is already in these Super NT and SG and everything. But if it is interesting, like the Mister already runs N64 games. So I assume it's just, some variation of what they already have. Either way, it's not like it's doing anything better than the N64 at this point.
The Mister core for N64 is pretty good, but I don't think it's 100% these days, is it? Yeah.
No, and that's why this is still more valuable, is because this can, if, they're saying 100% compatible, so that means, assuming Kevtris worked on this one as well.
Right.
He's the genius who's going to make this work, so that actually gives value to this system over, other analog systems versus the Mister.
Yeah, Kevtris is the guy that goes into all the hardware and makes the cores for Analog. He used to be just doing that in the community, and Analog's like, would you like a full-time job doing this? Which I always appreciated. I get that a lot of people don't like Analog. I want Kevtris to get paid. Dude is John Carmack levels of genius. He, without the problematic stuff now. Kevtris rules. So I always get excited for their stuff.
So someone in Twitch says, like, wondering why would Analog get this right when Mister doesn't have a fully functional N64 core? Mister is a volunteer project.
Yeah, right.
It's not people's full-time jobs to develop this core. So.
And there's a lot of talented people working in communities on that stuff all the time still. They will get it right eventually. The community always does usually get there, especially with Nintendo stuff. But it's just going to take them longer. What's his name? Spelling Kevtris is his handle. KEVTRIS.
Yes, that's exactly how it sounds.
Yeah, I'll try to get him on that giant bomb couch. That'd be great.
Sure. They are saying it's the most powerful FPGA we've ever used. Again, I don't think it's good. It's probably split between the system and the scaler, if I'd had to assume, if it's like an all-in-one system on chip solution. So that's probably where the extra power is going to. I wouldn't expect anything like, because Analog products, you can do other stuff with them eventually. And so, but I wouldn't expect it to do anything more than run N64 games.
Is there something about CRT? The unmistakable signature and soul of the CRT on your HD TV in 4K. Yeah, I would imagine, that they're going to have some filters for
again,
this.
it's going to have some of like the RetroTrank 4Ks scaler options and filters and stuff like that. They already had some of that in their previous products,
Right,
but
they
I
have
think
some
it's
of
just
that.
going to be even better.
They always work with My Life in Gaming and stuff like that to like really get feedback on that stuff. So
yeah, I think John gives feedback on stuff,
and John does,
stuff. So
yep.
yeah.
All right, mess it up with that signal. Make it look funky. I would love that. Absolutely. Okay, fantastic. Great way to end the show. I am hopeful to get that. In the meantime, poll question. Do you think the Splinter Cell remake ever comes out? Most people do not. 55% said no. 45% holding on to hope and say yes. I did vote yes because I'm a fool. But I mean, come on. Like, I think that game will do very well if it comes out and has a decent amount of effort put into it.
Yeah, this one seems more likely than, say, KOTOR at this point to me.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Yeah, I could see this one. It's like people assume that MGS Delta would never come out. And hey, that's, we don't know the exact date yet, but that's coming out. So I don't see why this one couldn't,
Yep. All right. New poll question here in a second. Before we get to that, though, Sean, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what we have going on, what you have going on, all that good stuff.
Yeah, twitter.com, TurboShawn, SHAWN _. I still got that Dan in Japan travelogue. If people haven't watched that, make sure to go check that out on giantbomb.com.
I did watch that. That was really good work, Sean.
Thank you. We did the Metaphor ReFantazio review cast. If people haven't watched that, it is major spoiler free. We made sure to rein it in. Just got an alarm out for some reason.
They just arrived today.
Jesus Christ. We had a great talk on that one, especially if you have like played through the demo area or just like started up the game. You can now pretty safely listen to that review cast because we basically covered stuff that you just already have heard. I have a secret thing I've been working on. No, it's not the Evo video. I know some people are still waiting on that. Sorry, that's coming out eventually. It's not train vlog. Don't worry, it will come out.
It's in the train vlog verse. It's been lost.
But something else, a little something extra. And maybe if people can remember the last time I used the phrase a secret project, maybe you know what I've been working on. But that might come out tomorrow.
Oh,
so,
all right.
Yeah. If it does, I'll make sure to let everyone know and promo it. But yeah, I think that's everything. Jeff, what we got going on the site?
Today I want to, first at the normal Blight Club time slot, we're not going to be able to do Blight Club. Lucy chickened out by doing work instead of doing this work. So we're going to do a Delight Club in that slot. And I will be playing Incredible Crisis for the PS1.
Right.
I have it ready to go.
This one's like WarioWare-ish, right?
I think, kind of. Yes, we'll find out together.
Or Rhythm Heaven, something like that.
My
okay.
understanding is I need to learn how to skank. I practiced a little bit, everybody. I'm twisting my legs in the opposite direction. It's not great, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
And then before that, if I get some time, I want to do a little bit of a spooky game grab bag. I might just like start streaming myself, get some stuff going on the site. I want to do like that Muppet PS1 Halloween game and Alien versus Predator, things like that. Things along those lines. Just kind of not actually scary games, but like games with monsters in them, things like that. So
sure.
We'll do that. Maybe start that around 1:30. We'll see if I'm able to get that all going. And that'll be called we decided Ghosts and Grublins, which
Ghosts and Grublins.
The Discord community helped me figure that one out. Shout outs to y'all. All right. New poll question. Did I decide one? Let me see here. I'm like, did I do that? Oh, yes. It was a joke one. Are you faster than a games journalist in Astrobot? And your options are no and no.
Oh,
None of you are. Come at me. I'll show you once and for all who's the real man here.
This is the one thing he has, y'all.
It's the one thing. I got to be toxic about it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
All right, Sean, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Always a fun show, Jeff.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. off of YouTube.